Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time.
Become friends with who?
I've become friends with school shooters. I've become friends with school shooters.
Become friends with school shooters? And he said it cool too. He said it cool, calm and collected. So he meant it. So he's become friends with school shooters. Great. Amazing. Put him as the Vice President of the United States of America. Let's go. That's the best thing I've ever heard in my life. That's amazing. Woohoo!
I've become friends with school shooters.
One of the most important things in America is their gun laws. Do you guys believe the gun laws should be allowed? Do you guys believe they should extinguish that gun law? You guys in America shouldn't have guns anymore. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below how you guys feel about this situation. So now, boom. Basically, as you guys know, and if you don't know, they had a vice presidential debate, JD Vance and Tim Walz, yesterday for me. So basically, they had a debate. It was a great debate. I reacted to it. Be on this channel before this video. It will be British Guy Reacts to vice presidential debate. So go check that out if you haven't already. But basically, I wanted to touch bases on the gun laws and Tim Walz basically saying that he's friends with school shooters, bro. That's what he said. He said, I've become friends with school shooters. He said it more than once now. I think he said it twice now. So it's not a mistake. I'm wondering what does he mean by that? In a way. What does he mean by he's friends with school shooters, guys? Like, it's not running well with me, bro. I don't know, bro. I don't know, but make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment down below. This is the topic. That's what we're reacting to right now. So if you haven't already, get your popcorn. Let's react to this video real quick.
We want to turn now to America's gun violence epidemic. The leading cause of death for children and teens in America is by firearms. Senator Vance, you oppose most gun legislation that Democrats claim would curb gun violence. You oppose red flag gun laws and legislation to ban certain semi-automatic rifles, including AR-15s. So let me ask you, earlier this year, for the first time, the parents of a school shooter were convicted of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to 10 years in prison.
Parents,
do you
guys.
think holding parents responsible could curb mass shootings? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Before he touches on that, what do you guys think on that? What do you guys think on that question? Should parents be punished for their kids becoming school shooters? Is it the parents' fault? 100%. But is it the parents' fault that the kid maybe might have gone to a friend's cousin's uncle, and that uncle's a crackhead, and he lets the kid have his gun, say, I'll borrow it. He's going to go to the school with that weapon now and then go blow some shit down. Is it the parents' fault, or is it the kid's responsibility all the way 100%? It's the kid's fault. It isn't the parents' fault. It depends on the situation, and he's gonna explain this too.
Yeah, well, Nora, on that particular case, I don't know the full details, but I certainly trust local law enforcement and local authorities to make those decisions. I think in some cases the answer is going to be yes, and in some cases the answer is going to be no. And the details really matter here, of course. For example, if a kid steals a gun, that's going to be different than if a parent hands over a gun knowing that their kid is potentially dangerous. But look, I want to just sort of speak as a father of 3 beautiful little kids, and our oldest is now in 2nd grade. And like a lot of parents, we send our kids to school with such hope and such joy and such pride at their little faces on the first day of school. And we know, unfortunately, that a lot of kids are going to experience this terrible epidemic of gun violence. And of course, our hearts go out to the families that are affected by this terrible stuff. And we do have to do better. And I think that Governor Walz and I actually probably agree that we need to do better on this. The question is just, how do we actually do it? Now, here's something that really bothers me and worries me about this epidemic of violence. The gross majority, close to 90% in some of the statistics I've seen, of the gun violence in this country is committed with illegally obtained firearms. And while we're on that topic, we know that thanks to Kamala Harris's open border, we've seen a massive influx in the number of illegal guns run by the Mexican drug cartels. So that number, the amount of illegal guns in our country is higher today than it was 3.5 years ago. But what do we do about...
Why is that? Because of the open border, like JD Vance has said. The open border is because of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. There is no like conversation between that. That is fact, guys. The open borders become out of hand, bro. Like the fentanyl, the guns, all of that things is being transferred from Mexico around them areas to America, guys, is the reason why we have school shooters today. The reason why we have people, families, kids, parents, everybody dying from fentanyl, drugs, It's because of Kamala Harris, and it goes back down to why is the borders allowed to be open how they're open? Why are they allowed to seek asylum legally? They can come from anywhere around. They can come from Mexico to America, jump across the border, right? Which is the wall, which Donald Trump didn't fully build the wall, by the way, how he said he would. The wall's like 2% complete. The wall needs to be built like they said they would build the wall. He said they'll use Mexican money to build the wall. The wall's not built yet. Don't know why. Let me know in the comment section down below. But then there's that. So I will say that. But it's like, that's the reason why it's gone out of hand, is because of Kamala Harris. Let's blame Kamala Harris. Let's put Trump in office. Let's get this wall built and let's get these gun violences down. It's not acceptable that we are having kids dealing with school shootings, bro. That's not acceptable.
The schools. What do we do to protect our kids? And I think the answer is, and I say this not loving the answer, because I don't want my kids to go to school in a school that feels unsafe or where there are visible signs of security. But I unfortunately think that we have to increase security in our schools. We have to make the doors lock better.
Bro.
We have to make the doors stronger.
That's sad.
We've got to make the windows stronger. And of course, we've got to increase school resource officers, because the idea that we can magically wave a wand and take guns out of the hands of bad guys, it just doesn't fit with recent experience. So we've got to make our schools safer. And I think we've got to have some common sense bipartisan solutions for how to do that.
Governor, you have 2 minutes.
Well, I think all the parents watching tonight, this is your biggest nightmare. Look, I got a 17-year-old, and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball. Those things don't leave you. As a member of Congress, I sat in my office surrounded by dozens of the Sandy Hook parents, and they were looking at my 7-year-old picture on the wall. Their 7-year-old were dead, and they were asking us to do something. And look, I'm a hunter. I own firearms. The vice president is. We understand that the Second Amendment is there, but our first responsibility is to our kids to figure this out. In Minnesota, we've enacted enhanced red flag laws, enhanced background checks, and we can start to get data. But here's the problem. If we really want to solve this, we've got folks that won't allow research to be even done on gun violence. And this idea that we should just live with it, and here's what I do think, that this is a good start to the conversation. I 100% believe that Senator Vance hates it when these kids, it's abhorrent and it breaks your heart. I agree with that. But that's not far enough when we know there are things that worked. I've spent time in Finland and seen some Finnish schools. They don't have this happen, even though they have a high gun ownership rate in the country. There are reasonable things that we can do to make a difference. It's not infringing on your Second Amendment.
What is that, and why has it not been done? Because as far as I'm concerned, guys, and as far as we all know, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have had 3 years, 3.5 years to put some things in place for this. Why are we just talking about it now? Why are we just going to change it now? Same as the wall. Why is the wall only being talked about now? Why not when Joe Biden has been president for 3 years? Why not when Kamala Harris has had power? Huh? Why now? I don't get why all of this stuff is being... Well, I get it now because they're trying to sell it so the votes can be up on their side. It's like trying to sell a product. You're going to sell the product at the highest times. But it's like, bro, why not throughout? Especially when you've got the power to do it. You need to be doing it. It's unacceptable.
And the idea to have some of these weapons out there, it just doesn't make any sense. Kamala Harris, as an attorney general, worked on this issue. She knows that it's there. No one's trying to scaremonger and say we're taking your guns, but I ask all of you out there, do you want your schools hardened to look like a fort? Is that what we have to go? When we know there's countries around the world that their children aren't practicing these types of drills. They're being kids. We owe it to them to get a fix. These are things that shouldn't be that difficult. You can still keep your firearms, and we can make a difference. We have to. If you're listening tonight, this breaks your heart.
Senator.
Tim, first of all, I didn't know that your 17-year-old witnessed a shooting. And I'm sorry about that, and I hope that he's doing okay. Christ have mercy. It is awful. And I appreciate what Tim said, actually, about Finland, because I do think it illustrates some of the frankly, weird differences between our own country's gun violence problem and Finland. Is, okay, first of all, we have way higher rates of mental health abuse, or mental health substance abuse. We have way higher rates of depression, way higher rates of anxiety. We unfortunately have a mental health crisis in this country that I really do think that we need to get to the root causes of, because I don't think it's the whole reason why we have such a bad gun violence problem, but I do think it's a big piece of it. Another driver of the gun violence epidemic, especially that affecting our kids, it doesn't earn as many headlines, but is the terrible gun violence problem in a lot of our big cities. And this is why we have to empower law enforcement to arrest the bad guys, put them away, and take gun offenders off the streets. I think there's a whole host of things that we can do here, but I do think at our schools we've got to talk about more security.
Senator, thank you. Governor, you previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but it only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was the NRA guy for a
Change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was the NRA guy for a long time.
Become friends with who? Become friends with school shooters? And he said it cool, too. He said it cool, calm, and collected, so he meant it. So, he's become friends with school shooters. Great. Amazing. Put him as the Vice President of the United States of America. Let's go. That's the best thing I've ever heard in my life. That's amazing. Woohoo! Like, what the fuck? What do you mean you become friends with school shooters? And that's not the first time he said that, by the way. That's the second time he said that now. So that's not an accident. That's not an accident, bro. He means that. He means that.
They used to teach gun safety. I'm of an age where my shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice. That's not where we live today. And several things I want to mention on this is, talking about cities and where it's at, the number one where the most firearm deaths happen in Minnesota are rural suicides. And we have an epidemic of children getting guns and shooting themselves. And so we have, and we should look at all of the issues. Making sure folks have health care and all that, but I want to be very careful. This idea of stigmatizing mental health, just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're violent.
Yeah.
And I think what we end up doing is we start looking for a scapegoat. Sometimes it just is the guns.
Yeah. No.
It's just the guns. And there are things that you can do about it. But I do think that this is one.
Vance looked at us like, this guy's the most contradicting guy I've ever heard in my life, bro. He just said that it's not the guns and that Finland's gun rate is very high. Like, everyone has a gun, but there's no crime. And now he's saying sometimes it's just the guns. So that's contradicting in like 5 minutes. He just contradicted himself. It's not a good look, Vice President. It's not a good look at all. So let me know in the comment section down below how you guys feel about that one. Him saying he's friends with school shooters wasn't an accident. I don't really like that one at all. Let me know. I know America's not gonna be happy about that because I've already been seeing it go viral. That clip go viral of him saying that. So it's not. I get it. We're all human. We slip up. We can't like put him in a hole for it. But at the same time, we gotta check him for it. Be like, what did you mean by that? What do you mean you are friends with school shooters? Elaborate. And that's what they didn't do on this debate. They didn't make him elaborate upon that, which is fine. But he definitely needs to speak up on that because he said that multiple times now. And that's not gonna flow and sit right with people, bro. What do you mean you're friends with school shooters? What do you mean by that? But anyway, make sure you guys like, subscribe. Please do comment down below. Post notification. Let me know how you guys feel about this situation. Tim Walz saying that dumbass shit. Let me know in the comments down below, bro. But I'm out.
Bye. Have a great time.